Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending the Maple Heights Board of Education Committee of the Whole meeting scheduled Monday, April 12th, 2021, held at 5740 Lawn Avenue, Maple Heights, Ohio, 44137. Meeting starting in the Board of Education room at 5:39. May we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Beverly, may we have roll call, please?
Mr. Brown?
Present.
Ms. Cruz?
Here.
Mr. Garber?
Here.
Ms. Roseman?
Here.
Ms. Moore?
At this time, we're going to turn the floor over to Dr. Keenan so he can make his report for tonight.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Mrs. Beverly. My report for this evening, under information, I had a couple things. The first one is just making a notification that I found out today there will be vaccinations in Maple Heights at Southgate offered to our residents 16 and up. 1,500 vaccinations on Friday and 1,500 vaccinations on Saturday. I do need to get information about how our residents are able to access and use that. So I talked to the mayor this evening. She directed me to talk to Linda Vopat. I will call her tomorrow morning and hopefully I get that information out and I'll be able to at least get it out to families. But I wanted to at least make it public at the board meeting and make sure the board was aware of that. The second thing that I just wanted to bring up to the board is just to think about, if you already know, that'd be helpful, is our board retreat in the summer in July. I just want to make sure that I can give that date to the administrators so that, you know, as they plan vacation time, that, you know, if they can avoid that weekend, if we can get that on the calendar sometime soon so that, you know, we can get as many people there as possible, whoever you want to come to that retreat. And then the third thing for information this evening, I've asked Mrs. Jurasik to come and talk a little bit about two things this evening. One is our learning loss plan that was submitted to ODE. And then the second thing is just an update on our models of excellence, the grade band definitions of excellence, and the portrait of a graduate that she's been working with the committee to develop. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Jurasik at this time.
I have a quick question, Charlie, for the board president.
I'm going to start with the.
Hold on, Susan.
Have we talked about, are we going to have it, the board retreat, are we going to have it on premise, or are we going off premise again this year? Because last year it was on premise, correct, Roz?
Yes, we had it here at the board office. And I mean, if no one has a problem, I was thinking that we could still have it here.
Okay, I just didn't know what we were going to do. I don't have an issue with it.
Especially for safety reasons too.
Okay, not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good evening. The first thing that I'm going to present tonight is an overview of our extended learning plan. The governor of Ohio asked for every school district by April 1st to submit a plan both to ODE and onto the district's website. The plan had some recommendations, but it is not being reviewed by ODE or by any entity. The idea was just to think about how to address any potential learning loss that occurred during the pandemic and ways in which we could assess what that loss might be. It's also tied to the ESSER money, which is federal grant money that we have until 2023. Dr. Shelby and I attended a meeting at the ESC and with several curriculum directors and directors of special pupil services. And at that meeting, they said to keep the plan rather general because, you know, in a year things might change or data might indicate a need for something else or for more of something or less of something in a year. So the plan is on our website, and I've also given you a copy of that right now. The overview is the piece that has the district logo at the top. And so I just want to talk a little bit briefly about some of the things that we've begun to plan. The planning has already been in place for the spring of 2021. And it's been a pretty good process of developing some things that we think will really benefit our students. We've included a lot of stakeholders in the plan at this point and begun some of the assessment that is needed to determine learning loss. So for this spring, we've given some baseline assessments, a standardized national test, baseline assessment. John Scala has been compiling the reports from the various assessments that we've been giving. And we are meeting with every teacher and every principal to relay the data that's been discovered, to analyze it, to look for gaps in the learning, and to begin actually those interventions right now, because we still have 2 months left of school. So some of the interventional pieces have begun already, and they are also going to be offered in between some of the state assessments that we're still required to give. We have met with Mr. Niake for business, Ms. McDonald for transportation, and every building principal, as well as the curriculum department, which includes Dr. Warren and Mrs. Rogers. And we've begun to plan out what spring should look like, and then also possibly what extended learning opportunities will look like for the summer. We are going to have our own teachers, after data analysis, create the summer curriculum based on the areas that are weaker or standards that didn't get as much attention in the school year because of the pandemic, or areas indicated by the baseline assessment data that we're analyzing. So we're going to create specific interventions for the summertime that match where these learning losses may be. Also, to prepare students for going into the next grade level or to the next course, in particular for high school. So they leave algebra, they go into geometry, which is an entirely, different type of math. So what will they need to be successful coming into that next course in the series? We have agreed that at this point, the summer intervention will be site-based. And so each building principal is managing what the site-based learning will look like. So we've given them some parameters for hours with particular focus on mathematics and English language arts, about how many minutes and in what areas that we discovered through the testing that need attention. So the principals are recruiting teachers to teach and paraprofessionals in their own building, creating their schedules, and are going to be communicating with the parents as the data and the registration begins in the next couple of weeks. And we also are offering some enrichment in all of our buildings so that children are interested in attending during the summertime with some outside vendors, possibly, with some coding or robotics or art camps intermingled with the ELA math and science and social studies focus. During the summer opportunities, we intend to do some basic formative assessments every couple of weeks so we can determine whether the interventions are effective. And we also are creating a plan to communicate with parents about student progress during the summertime. At the end of the summer, we're going to do a summative assessment to see if we've been able to mitigate some of that learning loss. And for students that have not attended during the summertime, we're going to use spring baseline data and then create a data profile for every teacher for students as they come in at the beginning of the school year. We're going to adjust our instructional calendars and our interventional calendars based on that summer assessment and conduct a deep data dive as we have in math in August and ELA. We're going to use data from MAP from the state testing results that should probably come out sometime in the middle of June So we're not really able to use the state testing data right now because we're still giving the test. And so summer intervention will start before that data is returned to us. We're also going to use some of our own teacher-based team assessment data, things that we've been analyzing all year long through our district leadership team. So the principals are required to come to each of the data meetings, and 2 general reports are going to be given, one for the whole grade level or the subject, and then one on each student, so that we know as a grade level where we need to put some emphasis and focus, and then how to provide individualized interventions for students. During the school year, we are going to provide some out-of-school time support and learning in every building. Right now, we've applied for 2 21st century grants, one for the high school and one for our Obama, and we also have one for our middle school. But even if we should not be awarded those grants, we have the ESSER money and some other title monies that we're going to use to provide some support for students during out-of-school time learning. And the model during the school day is to try to put extra human capital in places where we think that those interventions are needed, so that we're not pulling students out of the classroom so that they're not missing instruction, but putting in some extra supports in the classroom along with the teacher so that they can receive in real time interventions and small group work. Some of the other things that we are going to do is we're going to activate the spring protocol again, because this is a very good kind of tool that we're finding. I mean, we don't know about the effectiveness yet until we go through the summer, but we feel like this is a really strong way to plan the summer learning and to make it site-based. We're also having summer feeding at every school, and we're following the social distancing and safety guidelines and offering a couple of different sessions for students so that they can come in and not overlap during other sessions with other students. There's another document that I gave you that it's just a brief little thing that I've given actually to the principals. And that is just the kinds of things that we're going to focus on during the summertime. So for high school, credit recovery using the Apex software, EOC to work on preparation for the school year. We don't know exactly what those requirements will be in this coming school year, but we can use the summertime to prepare students in those courses. And Future Ready, so next course in the series, and also ACT, AP, and summer reading supports. Middle school, just about the same things, and also to begin some ACT support in the middle school during the summertime. And then for K-5, the real emphasis will be on reading and math, especially in kindergarten through 3rd grade, and most especially kindergarten 1st and 2nd with the foundational reading skills. And I don't have copies of this because it would just be a tremendous amount of paperwork, but we've started something that looks like this, where we've taken the data that John has compiled, created the standards, put the standards in that are weaker, suggested tools and resources to be used, and then creating how we're going to know with some basic assessments, how we know how those interventions are working during the summertime. And we'll have this for every grade after John finishes all of those data reports. And then this last document is the general one that is on the website. And this is, we did follow the protocol outlined by the ESC and the Ohio Department of Education to kind of keep things in generalities, rather than saying things like, we'll hire 4 teachers or we'll hire 8 teachers, because you don't know whether that's what you're actually going to need after you do the whole summer data review. So that is just a quick overview of the learning plan. So if you have questions, be glad to answer.
I have a
Is
question.
that what okay, great.
Unless you tell me. Oh, hey, Susan, the one graph and the plan after John finishes with this, can you make sure that you send all the board members?
The data reports?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we can look at it and have understanding of the data, how it is, how you're implementing the tools and the resources
Sure.
to go along with those grades. Okay. And Pam has a question.
Can you write that down?
How long, what are the dates for our, what is this, extended learning plan? Do we have any dates in mind of how long
Yes,
that's gonna go? Is it gonna be like a 6-week or a 9-week program? What is it gonna be?
It's 2 4-weeks. It's 2 4-week sessions. So one is in June, and then there'll be a week break between, right around the 4th of July, and then another 4-week session. And so especially for the K-5 parents, they can sign up for session A or session B, or choose to come all 8 weeks. And we felt that this way we would be able to serve more students by offering 2 sessions.
Thank you.
Are they going to be, the kids that come to the first session, is it going to be continuous learning to go into the next 4 weeks?
The plan right now is to see how many students are coming for both sessions, or if it's a completely different set of students. Because if it's a completely different set of students, we're going to use their data to adjust some of the interventions for the second session. But in general, it would be a continuation of that which we started in June, but with maybe a repeat of what we did in June. So we have to see if students are signing up for the whole summer or not. But we have their individual data, and so we're prepared to work in small groups with them to continue to move them forward if they come for all 8 weeks.
I have a question.
Taylor?
The question that I had was, exactly like how are we targeting specific students? How are we, really encouraging students to take advantage of this? Because it's not going to be like a traditional summer school. It's almost like a summer school on steroids, if you will, with just all the different amount of resources. So like, what's our targeted
We're using the data and we're targeting the students that are performing in the lowest bands, but we're offering to all students. We've created a letter and an individual parent report that will tell the parent exactly what areas, a couple of general areas that we're going to focus on for their particular child. And so then each building is going to have a registration kit with a flyer, a letter, and a report outlining the data that they need. And also, we have a communication committee that's going to send out, we don't want to do a bunch of robocalls. We really want individualized invitations. So having teachers call parents and counselors call parents and the principals calling parents as well. And that's one of the advantages of having site-based summer intervention.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
So you're doing individual and target-based calling and reaching out to the students that you want to come into this program, but it's going to be open to everyone. How are you going to communicate to the other students that you're not going to be making these individual calls to?
We're sending out to every single, we have data for every student, so we're going to send a letter and the report. But the students that need it the most are probably going to get more frequent phone calls, pushing and saying basically, this is really an advantage and for your child, and this is what we're going to focus on, and really talk to them and encourage them and keep track. We're gonna log in their attendance, and we're also going to log in those interventions for them.
So one more question. I'm sorry, but the students that are performing at the lowest level, are you going to market this as an 8-week course that those students can come, and it'll be an 8-week course for them, and then marketing at the other students as 2 different sessions of 2 4 weeks? Because the students that are at the lowest and performing at the lowest, we know they need 8 weeks. They need to take advantage of both sessions.
And that'll be part of the encouragement that they receive as they, we've already identified through other means some of the students that we really want to focus on. And so that will be part of the encouragement. But one of the things that we wanted to do was to make sure that we had enough safe space to offer as many students as wanted to attend. So we have an option A, option B, and an option C, C being both sessions. So A, session A, B, session B, and C, both sessions, A and B.
One more question. One more question. This is my last one. The students that have been performing at that low level and need that extra help, have we already contacted these parents so they already are aware that their child is already performing at these levels?
All year long, we've been working, there's another tool that I'm hoping that you'll allow us to present at another board meeting, because I'm pretty excited about it. It is a tiered system of support, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, based on data. And it's complete for K-5 right now for ELA, and we're working on the math one at this point. It's called an if-then document, and we've been using it with K2 students all year long. But, it's a pandemic year, so we've been, we don't always get kids to come in for the small group interventions. But we've kept a log of their progress. We progress monitor after 4 weeks, and we let the parents know. So we've been keeping in very close contact with the parents, especially for K-5 for reading. And so they are aware. We've also offered some different breakout rooms and intervention all year long, even through virtual and even some small groups to come in. So they are aware of where their students are, where their children are. Does anyone else have any questions?
I have a few more questions.
Okay.
My next question, it has to do with just the emphasis on technology. Like, where does technology play a role in, the summer? Is it a big emphasis or not?
So at this point, we're trying to get as many K-5 students in person as possible, just because they've missed some of the foundational reading and math skills. That's not to say that we won't use technology. We have iReady, which is an interventional tool that we already have for first and second grade, and we are also purchasing now for K-5. And so part of the day is an interventional piece using iReady. But we also want to use technology for learning, so for some project-based learning types of things, as well as some enrichment. So it does play a part, but especially for K-5, we're trying to get them in face-to-face with teachers. We're also recruiting some Cleveland State pre-service teachers to come in and trying to bring as many live face-to-face interactions as possible. Now, for the high school and the middle school, they do have credit recovery using Apex. But what we are going to try to do is ask them to come in, even though that's an online program, and bring them in, because we have live teachers in math and ELA that can help the students, and also to encourage them to finish that coursework in the event that they're failing. So technology is going to play a part, but I'm going to be, honest with you and say that we're looking more for that face-to-face interaction, which, they've missed over the year. But we do have enough technology in every building so that when students come in, they'll have the possibility of using the Chromebooks in school.
Thank you. And I have one more question. My final question has to do with just staffing levels and, that sorts of things? Like, are you finding challenges recruiting teachers, to give up their summer, those sorts of things as well?
It is a challenge, Jalen, it really is, because a lot of them are just plain tired. But one of the nice things about making this a site-based kind of proposition this year is that the principals are interacting with their own teachers. And so there are ways of doing things, you don't have to work 8 weeks straight, and you don't have to work every day. So you could, I could take a week, you could take a week. We're trying to do some different types of recruiting. We're even going to recruit some of Mr. Wakefield's students from Educators Rising to fill in with some small groups. And Ms. Cruz has said that she's been in touch with Rachel Wixie, which is our, they assign our substitutes, and some of those teachers are looking for work as well. As a matter of fact, one of our graduates who's attending Cleveland State reached out to me last night and asked if we had anything open for the summer. She's in the middle, she's graduating next spring, but she attends Cleveland State, and I said I would, get back to her this week. So, we want high quality teachers, and we really want our own teachers. But we do understand that they do want a summertime, and this is the first time we have such a, I think you said summer learning on steroids. I mean, that pretty much is summer learning on steroids. So we're trying to, work on some different types of enticements for them.
Susan, I'm sorry, I have one more question. In the high school, I know you're saying that we are doing credit recovery, but any other type of tutoring for math, like algebra, face to face?
Absolutely. So what we're
going to be there?
Yeah, so absolutely. We have a teacher had already asked us about English 2, getting kids ready to go into English 2. So offering them some reading and writing, the tutoring over the summer. Last summer, we offered some AP, advanced placement support, and we're planning to do the same thing again. We have plans for geometry and algebra, especially since geometry is one of our low performing areas. So we're planning to provide some direct in-person tutoring for geometry, as well as some online tutoring, and then again, credit recovery, and then even some enrichment types of things where students could be in a book club, or perhaps we'll bring in the Center for Arts Inspired Learning. But each principal is deciding on the outside vendors to come in for the enrichment for their building.
And these,
I'm sorry.
and these will be four, or will they just be,
The whole 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 4 weeks, or
We're
2
offering
sections?
8 weeks for all buildings. But at the middle school and the high school could look a little different for this,
Yeah.
for July. It could be getting them ready for ACT. It could be ready for EOC courses. It could look a little different. It will look a little different for middle school and high school.
all right, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
For Susan, before she finishes and leaves?
If not, well, if you have any more questions, I'll be glad to answer them. But I also wanted to give you an update on the models of excellence and the portrait of a graduate work that we've been doing this year. So when Dr. Keenan assigned the models of excellence project to me, I was thinking a couple of different ways of how we would approach that. And one thing that fascinated me is that many districts have a portrait of a graduate. So after a student leaves our school, or as they are graduating our schools, what are the attributes that they should have going out into the world? And so I even attended a couple of portrait of a graduate meetings in Brooklyn, Ohio, not Brooklyn, New York. But I attended a couple of those, and I looked up really good examples of portrait of a graduate. And then we put together a community team. And again, I would like for them to present the final product maybe next month. But the process has been really wonderful. It's been really, really wonderful. Every principal was on the committee, and every principal had to choose 1 or 2 teachers. And then we had community members, Dr. Reverend Aaron Bell. We invited Steve Haney from the library. He had to have somebody replace him. We had Michael Hollins. We had a parent focus group. We had a student focus group. The work was co-facilitated with me by Mr. Sutton at the high school and Mr. Forte from the middle school. And and we began by, just looking at samples of portraits of a graduate and then thinking of the attributes that we wanted and then sorting them into categories and creating domains for those categories. And then we came up with 8 categories, 8 attributes, and then wrote a description for what we believe. We did that in 3 meetings. And then we assigned each principal to go back and choose a team to work on their models of excellence. So they're going to use the same, and they're in this work right now, they're going to use those same attributes, but make it very concrete. So, and also so that it's age appropriate or grade appropriate, right? So our portrait of a graduate has attributes like emotional or a creative thinker. I have them over here. Sorry. Collaborator, advocate, innovator, emotionally intelligent individual, critical thinker, and communicator. But what does that look like on a first grade level? So their task is to come up with some very concrete models of excellence in that building. So what does it mean to be a good communicator at the first grade level? What does that mean to be emotionally intelligent? Meaning that I'm aware of your emotions, I'm aware of my emotions, I know how to handle a different emotions. So each building is creating their models of excellence. This coming Wednesday, we have a meeting with the entire group, and each building is going to give an update of their progress. Our desire is to have it completed by April 28th. We're also working on our new high school art teacher is creating graphic designs. And so a couple of ideas are that we're all pathfinders. All of our students are pathfinders. And leading up to our big Pathfinder project for February at the high school. Or little saplings, little maple saplings that will grow into a maple tree. So we have a couple of different ideas of what that will look like. But each building is building up to that portrait of a graduate. So from the time you enter preschool in our district, you have a model of what that looks like and what the expectations are for you, so that when you graduate, you have these 8 attributes. We even interviewed, we have Sion Blackwell, who graduated in 2016 and lives in Montgomery, Alabama. And she and Mike Collins got together a whole group of alumni and interviewed them. How well were you prepared? What did you need more of? What can we do to be very conscious of that? And we don't want this just to be an idle document. We want this to be a living document that we follow and hold expectations for our students as we go through. So it's been very, very exciting, very rewarding. And we believe we'll be all prepared by April 28th and then possibly present in a board meeting in May.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions on the communication that Susan just relayed to us about portrait of graduates and our pre-K through middle school?
I have one thing. Susan, I just wanted to say, great job. We're working on that. As you were presenting the portraits of a graduate, one of the things I was thinking about, is when we think about the portraits of a graduate, we're asking ourselves, what do we want from our students by the time they graduate? So I think that, parents and family members and community members, should have some sort of voice in there. So I'm excited to hear that you had like Mike Collins and Sion get alumni. That's a good starting point.
It was so exciting. I have to tell you, just the things that this group did in 3 short meetings, and the quality of the focus group work is just, it's just been really rewarding. So
Absolutely. As they are continuing to look at those grade level expectations, one of the things I would encourage, is for principals or those committee members to reach out to a few parents, just to kind of throw some ideas at them, because one of the things that we see is that sometimes our home expectations are different from our school expectations.
That's true.
So as much as we can provide some commonality or just some clarification for people, I think that we'll be able to build a more cohesive and make the portrait of a graduate something we can actually achieve and be able to measure down the line. But great job, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rossick. For my report for this evening, under recommendations, 4B1 and under personnel 4C 1 through 5 will be my recommendations for this evening.
Information through 4A. He's asking for approval for 4B1 and also 4C 1 through 5. May I have a motion, please?
So move.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any other discussions?
I have a question. Under C3, did we say C? Or C, yeah. The cleaner, Catherine Johnson, is she a floater or is she at a particular building?
Mr. Leonte?
She's at a particular building. She's at Kennedy.
Kennedy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Beverly, may we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bard,
Yes.
Ms. Cruz,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Roseman? Yes. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Motion
Motion
carries.
carries. Next on our list is going to be committees of a whole. If we have any presentation for anyone in those categories, does anyone have any presentations for that? I only have one board information for development. Jalen has come up with adding some strategies to the board goals that we created back in December. We're preparing for our district and we need to work together for a couple of days and set up some special meetings where we can talk about some strategies that he shared with us last week. And so I need us as board members to look at that so we can pick out a couple of days that we can have a special meeting and work on that and also work on our core values that we also need. Just giving you guys a heads up that we need to work on and set at least 2 special meetings to go over and develop the core values for the district and also work on creating a more in-depth strategies that Jalen has shared with us on our board goals that we created for the district. So just giving you a heads up on that information, okay? Next on the agenda is visitors participation. If you would like to address the board, please state your name, your address slowly so it can be recorded. And the floor is yours.
Dan Kovalik, MHGA president, One Mustang Way.
Hi, Dan.
Been home for a long time. Just wanted to take the chance to report out that the teachers did vote today to ratify the tentative agreement. Want to thank the board and Dr. Keenan, KJ, and the entire team that negotiated with us. It was extremely fruitful negotiation, very professionally done. And we really appreciated the time and the effort. So
Dan, I want to make sure that we, thank you for, all the hard work and the communications that, open communications that you guys have with us as a board and as administrative team. You guys are always there, to work with us as a team and as a district, as one family. I want you to know that we appreciate that, as board members, and also, working with our administrative team, and also having a open, heart and open mind to, what's best for the employees overall and what's best for our students. So I do want to thank you and let you know that we appreciate all the hard work that you guys do. I'm gonna see if any of the other board members would like to say something real quick. If you guys would like to say something, please let me know so you guys can address Dan while he's at the floor.
I just want to say thank you as well. From what I've heard from other districts, that we have a unique situation here, and I appreciate being a part of the negotiations that go smoothly. I guess I could use that term, and it's much appreciated. Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything they would like to say?
I'll chime in as well. I just wanted to say again, thank you to you, Mr. Cavalli, and to all the.
Oh, can you hear? Oh.
Y'all can't hear me?
Where am I looking?
Hold on.
Okay, Jalen.
You're ready.
Okay. What I wanted to say was, Mr. Cavalli, I thank you and all of the leadership and the members of, the union. As a former union member, I definitely understand, the fight of teaching and learning every day, and as a school board member, one of the things that, I try to do is really help the board members understand, the day-to-day, from just my limited experiences being in the district. I think that, moving forward, we want to continue to build relationships, and we're going to continue to have to fight through, things like the pandemic and many more challenges. But as long as we can continue to have open dialogue and conversations, that we're going to be pretty decent. So thank you again for all your hard work.
Does anyone else have anything else you want to add?
Good job, Dan.
Hold on, Pam, I'm talking.
Good job, Dan, teachers, administrators, everybody that had a part in this next chapter. So I congratulate us all on it ending well. So thank you.
Charlie.
Dan, I just want to say thank you to you and your team. And really, the reason that this negotiation went so smoothly is a credit to the professionalism that you guys had. You had a good proposal. The conversation was respectful and meaningful, and you advocated for your team and your teachers. And I'm just glad we had a good outcome, in working together with you. So thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is executive session. We are going to be discussing negotiations and personnel. May I have a motion to enter into executive session, please?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussions before we enter into executive session? Hearing none. Ms. Beverly, may we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Roseman?
Yes.
Mr. Garth?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Cruz?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes. We have now entered into executive session.